You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Streaming at you live from parts unknown, 20 miles off the shores of the Emerald Coast, it's where geeks come to hang. It's Chimichanga Talk with your hosts, Deadpool Speaks and Dr. Evil Beard.
All right, and guys, we are back. We're back for another roundup podcast. It gives me your host, Deadpool Speaks, and with me, as always, is the wonderful Dr. Evil Beard.
Wonderful. I have got way out of that title, and you know it.
That's someone put that on the script. I don't know who it was, but I just read things. So,
that's because you. That's all you know how to do.
That's all I know how to do, people, and that's all they pay me for. So, on today's show, we got an amazing guest, and let me go ahead and kind of start off with a little slow introduction. Now, our next guest actually earned a bachelor's degree in broadcast communications. He worked in the radio industry for years, and when the radio industry said no more, which actually they didn't. They wanted him back so desperately, but he was a man of many passions. He was a designer, and he wore his own costumes. In 2010, he actually was selected to portray a very iconic Star Wars character for 20th Century Fox and Lucasfilm for the 3D release of The Phantom Menace. Now, we all remember that release, and we all paid good money to go see that movie in 3D, and we all walked away with the same kind of heartfelt disappointment.
Wait! You actually paid to go see that?
Oh, that's
I can see that.
But he portrayed Darth Maul, which is one of the greatest Darths. Besides
actually, it was one of the better parts of the whole entire movie was that action sequence where, they're all fighting. But
exactly, that movie could have been about 12 minutes long. Now,
exactly. Could have just thrown Hillman, the good guys and the bad guys, and lightsabers, and been done with it, and I would have been fine.
And he did such an amazing job that the doors opened up for him, and he kind of staggered onto the world of film and television, doing things like opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone in Escape Plan. You remember that one?
Yes. Oh yeah.
That was a really good movie. I really enjoyed that one. And he
Olympus Has Fallen. Olympus Has Fallen.
Yes. He was also in The True Detective. He got his hands in that.
One of my favorites was Hot Tub Time Machine 2.
It was one of the better sequels, and
yes.
we're not going to hold Fantastic Four against him.
No, we're not. Actually, he was probably one of the better parts in that one.
Exactly, he was one of the most believable, and even though he wasn't necessarily in the comics, it felt like he was.
Yes, that's right.
That was the only part.
and then he wound up being in Jurassic World and things like that. He just went on to be like, I'm just going to go do all these movies and just be super badass about everything,
Exactly.
Go fight some zombies as Navy SEAls and things like that.
Yeah, and if you haven't figured out, our guest today is built like a semi-truck.
Yes.
Pretty much that's where he gets his character roles. He basically plays a lot of law enforcement characters. And because of his martial arts experience, he kind of keeps him really active. So everybody put your hands together in a big round of applause for the amazing actor, John R. Mangus.
Of all the introductions I've had, that is by far the most recent, so I want to thank you for that.
And we appreciate that we could be the most immediate. So.
Exactly. You don't have to be right, you just have to be right now.
Exactly.
That's right.
So, John, how did you get into radio?
Well, first I want to make one little clarification so Ray Park doesn't kick my ass. Ray Park, he's very good. Ray Park did Darth Maul for the first movie, and actually Benicio del Toro was, from what I understand from Lucasfilm, was supposed to actually portray him. And Darth was just going to be this. Ray was just going to be the stunt person for it. So Ray was filming G.I. Joe 2, and there was some talk at the time about doing like reshoots. You know how when they remastered Star Wars Episode 4 in '97, and they added those extra scenes in there. There was some talk of some of that, and so I was super excited when I got cast. But actually, in eventuality, all I did was, live action things for promotion, and then I did the, some advertising and print media and commercial stuff. So I don't. That's really Ray on the screen. So I don't want to, get anybody upset with that.
Oh no! Absolutely.
So you were basically the Darth Maul cosplayer for a while.
Yeah, but it was official. So I mean, and back then cosplay wasn't cool. Now it'd be cool to say that.
Oh yeah.
When I did it then, no, I'm not Jessica Nigri or anything like that.
I'm surprised you tossed that name out there. Suddenly, a lot of people, just every nerd, male nerd in the world right now, just turned their head a little bit and said, "What? What?"
Yeah, hey, you gotta know your audience a bit, man.
Oh, here we go. We're in trouble, dude.
Oh, how did I get into radio? Well, I did communications, so it was kind of required, and I had that face for radio, so it worked out really well.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I had the same face.
Yes, I know the deal, and radio, man. When I got into radio, it was. I'm old, so radio talk, Rush Limbaugh and all that stuff hadn't really blown up yet, and radio was dying. I mean, it really, really was. I mean, we had stations, that would play the entire B-side of albums. That would be the show. I know the rock and roll flight to midnight. And so I started with a little station that doesn't exist anymore, but AM 1560 WSLA, your sports leader in southeastern Louisiana. So
nice.
That's what I started with.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the Simonese Liberation Army. Like every time I read the call letters, I'm like, "Where's Patty Hearst?"
She's a station manager, but she's busy doing other things. Now,
yes, bank executive.
Now, you dabble a lot because you're big. Are you part of the 501st?
Yes, yeah. Actually, I am part of the 501st. I hope I'm still in good standing. But yes, so
someone hasn't paid their dues.
Yes, there's a lot of requirements.
We can find out for you because at the next convention, our chapter is going to be there.
Yeah, great. Then you have sand people beating you up.
Yeah, this guy John is claiming to be Ray Park. But I know that you do a lot of charitable work as well. That's the reason why I asked. You see, the 501st does do a lot of really awesome stuff, and
they're amazing.
Yeah,
yes.
And I know that you actually recently, before we get into like some of the heavy stuff that you've done, I know that you recently we had those floods in Louisiana, and you recently took some time, and you just recently got married not that long ago. I'd say about like 3 months ago.
Right, June 1st in your fair state of Florida. Very nice.
Wow, are you like stalking him right now, dude?
I am. I love
How do
me
you
some
know
John.
it's been like 3 months? You're like, dude, okay, I know you get married because I saw it on the news, but I couldn't pinpoint. You're going for like date and time at this point. I mean, it's kind of creepy. You're making me worried a little bit, man.
I know. I just do my research. I stalk so well.
Tom Hiddleston's available now, so.
I follow him on Twitter.
And Snapchat.
Which, but
and Instagram.
And Snapchat. But we'll get into that later.
Yes, we will.
But
yes,
John, with the floodings and everything, you're actually a big part of kind of helping everybody out there. Let's talk a little bit about
the floods were, if you don't mind interjecting for a second, the floods were, like they say now, the fourth worst disaster in American history. And, it's really amazing. Over 160,000 homes were flooded in 11 parishes, in which we call parishes. Everybody else everybody else in this country calls counties. So 160,000 homes, and just a lot of really good people. So, you know, I fortunately didn't flood, and, you know, my wife and I just tried to volunteer as much as possible. I went out in the boats with the Cajun Navy and just some incredible people, and they did some wonderful things, you know, helping and rescuing. And then, you know, my wife and I, we gutted, what they call gutted houses, where you have to cut the sheetrock up to, you know, 4 feet at least, depending on how much water, and, you know, get all the insulation and everything out. And I mean, just bring everything out of the house. And I mean, it was a lot.
It reminds me, most people know I did some time in New Orleans during Katrina, and again, it was a lot like that. So I can actually sympathize with you. And
thank you for your service too. You were in the Coast Guard.
You. Yes, and thank you for helping out, man. Not many people will just drop what they're doing to help out like that.
Exactly.
We saw it firsthand in New Orleans. Who did, who didn't?
Well, thank you.
And people like you. It's not just the military. It's not just the law enforcement and fire and rescue and things like the EMS. It's they are needed. Don't get me wrong, but it's the volunteers like you and your wife and people like you that actually go out and make the difference in that scenario or that situation.
Yeah, it's that sense of community. Mm-hmm.
It is. It really is a sense of community, and you know, I live here and make my home here, and you know, it just, you couldn't look around. I mean, it was 3 days before I could even get out. So the riding on the boat sounded, you know, was a way to at least get out. I mean, seriously, there was no road that I could take out of, you know, where I live.
Right.
So we, you know, when I saw the police officer by himself, you know, on the radio, you know, we just started showing up, you know, guys with boats and everything, and it was amazing how community came together. We didn't wait around for, you know, government to come.
Right.
You know, as Ronald Reagan said, the 7 worst words to hear is, you know, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help. Or
I'm laughing because I did, you know, I was that guy. But again, we lived there. But yeah, the
military's not really the government. It's a good branch. It's a good part of it.
Yeah, you're talking about like the MIBs, the men in black that aren't supposed to be there and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
Black helicopter.
Well, so what is this? I heard about you guys trying to rescue a deer.
Well, one of the guys we went with, he actually, a younger guy, rode in the boat. It's a really terrible story, man. I have like post-flood trauma over the story, but anyway, he rescued a doe. Yes. That's my job. Paper cut. Why don't you pour some lemon juice in it?
Well, I wanted you to tell the story because it just kind of shows how close to home it actually hits when you're in the situation.
Yeah, we're probably about two miles. But there's, you know, one part of the road's got 12 feet of water on it, and we wind through this, you know, like subdivisions and houses, and, you know, the roads are just rivers, basically. Everything. It's really sad. But one of the guys, a younger guy, he rescues a doe. Now, it's not like a female deer, you know. It's not like an infant, but it's young, and we really can't bring that into the boat. You know, we got these flat bottom boats because the boats that have more of a draft, you know, you'll hit cars and other vehicles and fences, and, you know, because they're not really in water. You know, you're in a flooded area, and so we have to convince him basically it's a wild creature to put it back. You know, because we just didn't really have room with people and other animals and all that. You know, pets, and so he finds a area in the water, but looks pretty safe, and puts the doe back in the water, and man, not much more than a minute later, an alligator eats the doe, which is terrible. I mean, it just came right up there and completely just ate it. You know, something out of Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
It's the circle of life.
Yes.
Pretty much, you know, you took from one and then fed the other, and Geez, that was a horrible story. Thanks for bringing that up, Skip. It was,
no problem.
It is a horrible story, and the poor guy never rode with us again.
Well, here's the point I wanted to make with that. Yes, it's a unique story, but at the same time, the time frame that you grabbed that kid, put him in the boat, and took off, that gator could have got him instead of
that's what Blake. He probably won't even hear this, but one of the guy who owned the boat I was riding with for most of that time, Blake Collins. He put it in perspective because it was any of us when they submerged a couple boats, and with the alligators in the water and snakes, any of us could have really got hurt, but we weren't really thinking about that.
Right, and that's and also I was wanting to make is that you dive in head first or feet first in this case to rescue somebody else, unknowns to you that he's actually holding a deer just to save his life. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I was going with it, is that it shows that the magnitude of what you guys did as normal everyday people in a disaster situation to help somebody out that otherwise would have probably been eaten by an alligator.
Yeah, that's probably because they've been holding the doe. I didn't even think of it that way. But and we tease the government and all, but it wasn't like volunteers did this because the government wasn't capable. It was just too large of a scope. Which is way too large of a scope, and it wasn't like a hurricane where you had like a storm surge. It was just rain. It was 25 inches of rain in 2 days. But it did come up quickly.
Yeah, and that's still a lot. And compared to Katrina, compared to Opal and things like that, there are hurricane magnitudes that we have down here in the South. That is just for rain. That is almost unheard of. Unless
it really is.
The last time that happened is when, years and years ago, we had the Mississippi from all those storms up north that were basically draining down here and had nowhere else to go.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like in the early 90s in Missouri. They had, horrible floods from the Mississippi. I remember that.
And, one thing that's really important here, and it's why we touch base and the whole thing about community. I think another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that there's a big filming community in Louisiana. Another boom that's happening there, and it's been there for quite a bit. I mean, a lot of people talk about the Atlanta boom, like the Georgia filming boom, but that's kind of like what kind of opened your door, correct? The whole Louisiana filming industry there.
Oh, absolutely. When I had a chance to escape plan, I had no idea that the film industry was so big in Louisiana. And then I hooked up with one of your guests at the con coming up as Michael Papajohn, and he was kind of like my mentor as far as the movies and stunt work. And he now lives in Louisiana. He can make a living, and he moved back 5-6 years ago because he could. He had lived in LA for 20 years.
And he's he's from Panama City. He basically, for a lot of people who don't know, he was in Spider-Man. He was the one who shot Uncle Ben.
Yes.
And he did, and you learned from him, right? You a lot of his stunt work, correct?
Yeah, he was a stuntman for a good while. He played baseball for LSU and went to the College World Series and all that. And then he went on to he was Adam Sandler's stunt double for a good while. And then he, all the Water Boy and all that, that was all him. And, then he went on to try to get into acting and get out of stunts because, I'll tell you what, stuntmen are incredible. They're amazing all the time. I can reel off the names of, Regis, Jeff Galpin, Tim Bell. I mean, they all went and rescued people and volunteered. People had no idea that they were being pulled out of the water by, stuntmen and film professionals. But they're it's a hard job to do for any length, and so I did a little bit of it, and I wanted to get into the acting side, and Michael's a really good Papa John's a really good mentor for actors.
And I'm just curious. I mean, a lot of people talk about that. A lot of these stuntmen that do it for a long period of time, they say, well, they do it because it's kind of like a way of being an adrenaline junkie, but getting paid for it. Would you say your experience was similar, or?
No, it was more like getting hurt, and they're so good and so professional, and the coordinators are amazing. But you can fake a lot of things with green screen and all of that. But I'm sorry, when a guy falls out of a car, he falls out of a car.
Yeah.
You could say, well, it's only going like 10 miles an hour. You try falling out of a car at 10 miles an hour.
Dude, I've fallen out of the car whenever it's stopped and it still hurts, okay?
Directors will come over and they'll say, like, in this scene, you're going to throw him onto the table, and then roll onto the floor. There's a chance that the mat, the pad might get in the shot. You don't really want that, because then we can't use it. No, I don't need that pad on the concrete floor at all. I'm good.
Go ahead. I'm a man. I can take it.
Yeah. Jason Statham is amazing. I've worked with him before on a couple projects, and amazing. But yeah, if I don't have to do that, I don't want to do it. Stage fighting is one thing, but a lot of the other stuff is martial arts is fantastic. I love it for exercise, and I'm Taekwondo and black belt in that. But when you actually start hitting people and all of that, especially if people don't know what they're doing, you can get hurt pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, you can throw the punch the wrong way, and the guy can lean the wrong way, and both of you wind up getting hurt, or somebody breaks a rib or breaks a wrist or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is amazing to work with real professionals, but a lot of times you're working with almost a step above background, and no offense to anybody, but they're not professionals. It's not what they do for a living, and
we found this stuntman on Craigslist.
And he showed up in a clown costume for some reason.
Yeah, it's not creepy
I
at
tell you
all.
what, those clowns in the Carolinas better be careful. Now they got like machete wielding people chasing the clowns. So.
Oh yeah, that creepy story. We all heard that.
Yeah, did you hear about the one about the whole ICP debacle that's recently come up with the name Juggalo?
No.
This should be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, me and my associates, if you will, and there's one of them howling in the background right now. We were sitting around reading the news, and
like we always do. We're sophisticated people.
Yes, we're sophisticated. We read the news. No, I was actually reading the weird news because ICP popped up, and apparently in the name of...
That's the Insane Clown Posse, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, that's not old. Yeah. Okay, so you younger people that aren't down with the clowns...
They're
Millennials.
going to be in Pensacola in like about a couple weeks here, so they're still touring.
Hey,
man.
wrestlers draw them in at crowds.
Oh yeah,
man.
they were big time with the oddities and backyard wrestling and stuff like that.
They had a video game. That's all I'm going to say. They had a video game.
Yeah, dude, they had a couple of movies.
John was in two of them. No, but
So back to the story real quick. We can go off on a tangent in a minute. But anyways, it's a bad story. It involves satanic ritualists and things of that nature. Yeah, dude, they took it to the extreme. And I mean, you think some of these fans of wrestling and of music, musicians and things like that are bad. Some of these guys take it to the extreme. They basically they chopped off this chick's finger, and she willingly allowed them to do that. It was her idea.
Oh,
Wow.
it was
Yeah,
her idea.
they basically did the whole.
Back in
ritual
my day,
cut
our
and-
performers just like ate the heads off of bats and stuff.
Yeah,
know.
exactly. I mean, PETA would be mad today, but not back in the day because whatever. So, but the bad part about it is after this is all said and done, the cops are there, and they find out that this chick's finger is still wrapped up in tinfoil in the freezer. And when they ask the kid, well, what are you doing? Why is that in there? He goes, oh, I was going to cook it up and eat it later. And I'm like, are you serious?
What?
Wow.
I mean, who wants finger foods?
Well, oh man, that's exactly
Yes, I'm the king
why
of
you
Waka
told
Waka.
this story.
Yes, it is. See, I
That
have to
really-
lead up to this kind of stuff.
Oh, that's really bad.
I know, right?
But no, it is a true story. I did read it, and yes, I
Wow.
took the obligation to take a bad joke.
Oh, you read it, so it's absolutely
It's
true.
true. You
read it
on
like
the
this,
Yes, and I read
Huffington
it. I read it on
Post.
the internet.
Yeah, and I heard Tim Tebow just signed with the Saints, and that's not true either.
I've been hearing that for years.
Yeah.
Now, John, I'm kind of curious because you kind of transitioned from radio personality, did kind of like the stunt thing, jumped into the acting thing. Now, what kind of actor would you say you are? Because they say there's different types of actors. There's your like method actor where they kind of heavily get into this role and kind of disappear into some wild wood and come out 2 weeks later completely immersed.
Oh, you mean like James Woods?
That was awful. God, I'm sorry.
That's a really good question, actually. Basically, the method acting style has been replaced by this Ivana Chubbuck. She's a great, well-known to actors, author and actor teacher, and she teaches actors and represents a lot of major Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and Johnny Depp and a bunch of them, and so it's a form of method, definitely. I think a lot of that stuff is really good and really good exercises, but they're really for leading people. And I be honest with your audience, I've only done the lead in shorts and in films and things like that. So for me, it's not really that pertinent, it'd be really cool to know how to completely rebuild my engine, but if my job is in a car, but if my job was, when I was stunt driving or precision driving to drive it from point A to point B, it's more pertinent for me to know how to drive,
Yeah.
So I try to just be able to do what the director wants at the time, that he wants it, and make everybody else's job as easy as possible.
You see, I think that's important. What you're telling people now, because even though there's a lot of people that listen to our show want to, jump into acting, want to do different things, you're never going to start as a lead role. You're going to start, working in the background, kind of moving your way up, kind of getting noticed, making that, network and kind of, getting known. So what would you say is the hardest part about trying to get out there and kind of get yourself, in as many things as possible?
Yeah. How do you brand yourself out there so people want you for that background role or that cop role or that stand-in role or whatever?
Well, you have to be authentic. Reality TV's done a lot of bad things to hurt acting, and hurt money and everything else with the non-scripted and non-union. But what it has done a little bit for the shows not really being real, but they take real people in the periphery and bring them to the forefront. So now in movies, if they can't, like for example, if they were going to make When Harry Met Sally again, they would have the restaurant scene. The waitress would be an actual, probably somebody who's really waited before tables. The cook would be a cook that they want people that have actually done the job. So if you're going to start with background, which is a really good way to start, apply for things that you know how to do already. And then when you do get more roles and you're doing something that you haven't done, Michael Papajohn said, to own your props. I mean, if you're a police officer who wields a certain form of, nightstick, look it up, figure out how they did it, make it authentic. That's professionalism. That's what I would suggest. I know everybody else would say, get on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and everything else, and all.
Here
all
he
that
goes.
stuff's
He's getting warmed up,
important,
folks.
but if you still suck, it doesn't matter. No offense to Tim Tebow, because he's a great human being, but for some reason they don't believe that he can play quarterback in the NFL, and it doesn't matter how good of a human being he is and how intelligent he is and how athletic he is. If you can't really play quarterback, it doesn't matter if you have 12 million followers on Twitter. And that's, people forget that. And I think sometimes,
that's an interesting point that you bring up, because of the fact that a lot of people, are looking for those 15 minutes of fame. A lot of people are thinking, well, if I tweet something funny, like we had an incident in Dragon Con. I'm not going to go too far into this, but somebody had an inappropriate cosplay.
You could do a whole show easily on that instances of Dragon Con.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think that sometimes people look for the wrong type of hype and
exposure.
Exposure, exactly.
Yeah.
And
you want shock and awe, well, you kind of might have gone too far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you bring up social media, because social media, in a way, I think is a good thing, but it's also really a bad thing, because I know on the show we talked about spoilers before. I've had people that are saying, well, I'm not going to follow these people anymore because they leaked photos of the new Spider-Man villain out. And a lot of people.
The shocker, yeah.
Shocker, yeah. A lot of people like to find this out. Yeah, be surprised. Yeah. And John, how active are you on social media?
I'm really not. Social media a few years ago was kind of scary for me. When I first started doing things, and I wasn't used to doing movies and things like that. I wasn't used to the attention that sometimes you get, and when you get a picture of your house, sent to you in a instant message, and the person said they were thinking of coming by, and they're not even from your state, and you're not friends with them, and they know where you live.
Creepy. I know, right?
Yeah. And so
yeah. By the way, Deadpool, he's got that restraining order in place, so you don't need to be texting and stuff like that anymore.
Good.
I'm not going to Snapchat
but
you
I mean,
anymore.
you never know with people. But I do love people. I mean, a lot. So, I love fans. I love that. 99.9% of the people you run into really, are fine. So, I had the verified Twitter page. It's John R with the middle initial Mangus on Facebook, and I think I have at John R Mangus is the Twitter.
Yep.
The Twitter on the line.
It just sounds so wrong when people say it like that, because I'm guilty of it too.
The interwebs.
Yeah, the interwebs. I called you on the phone book the other day.
And are you on Snapchat at all?
Okay.
hang on. Let me find a can so I can make that opening a can of whoop ass sound.
All right. I don't. I'm not a 15-year-old girl. And no offense to
15-year-old girls out there.
But I don't understand it. I don't understand how you have a message that lasts for like 30 minutes, at all. I mean, what is it like? That's the epitome of ADHD, quintessential. 30 minutes, 30 seconds, and it's gone. I mean, I wish life was like that. When I did something stupid, it would be gone.
I think that's why, because I think, and being a father of an 18-year-old, I think I have the right to say this. I think this generation is very particular in a sense where it is kind of gone in about 30 seconds or so until it actually hits like Facebook and Twitter, and it kind of sticks around for a little while. But I think the kids today use social media in such a way. And I think that's the problem with like a lot of our generation's getting to a point where we're like binge watching everything. Where
damn you, Netflix!
I know, right?
I know it really. It's hard waiting waiting a whole week and stuff.
Look at you waiting a whole week instead of the 6 months that we have to wait for like The Walking Dead or for a new Game of Thrones episode. Most people.
Yeah, you know what's hard too is when you're still a fan and you make a movie, or you make in a TV show, and you're not allowed to talk about it, and it's like a year and a half for it to come out.
Oh, the non-disclosure agreement.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like,
you can't talk about this lightsaber wielding guru.
Yeah, I mean, you really can. And it's just crazy. Yeah. Jurassic World, was an amazing experience to be a part of. Chris Pratt was just really awesome, really, really good person. And, I mean, you couldn't even talk about that.
And that's hard. I mean, I can only imagine that must be the most difficult thing. And I can understand why certain people, like actors and stuff like that, would like to kind of veer away from social media just because they have those non-disclosure agreements. Because like when Michael Rooker was on our show, Guardians of the Galaxy hadn't been released yet. And he dropped like a big piece of information on his makeup on our show, which he only did it because he was just kind of opening up to us, and we kind of, lured it out of him. But it wound up being on like Yahoo News, Movie News, and it like spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how it must be like, when you work there, doing any kind of shows like this, and then worried about kind of leaking out any information to the wrong source, because that affects you, right? I mean, that kind of puts you on a naughty list or something. I mean,
you called it a naughty list?
I mean, my goodness, he's got such a great body of work and a lot of professionalism. He is amazing. He holds his own, and that's what, when you talk about acting styles, we could go into acting styles, but he would be, what I would strive to be. I mean, he's somebody who holds his own as a supporting actor, and that's what it is. You support the actor, the main actor, and if you're not any good, it doesn't work out. Almost like the straight man, in Abbott and Costello, or
yeah.
You've got to be that person that's believable, that the hero can orbit basically, and so he does a fantastic job at that. Also, I think that there's a little bit of a good publicity. They used to say that any publicity is good publicity. When it comes to that, the leaking is far. But I mean, if you're not a major character or whatever, I mean, it's bad for you. I mean, when they were doing Hercules, when they were doing the Hercules, they kept firing. The production kept firing a lot of different, background and other people for leaking pictures. So basically, Dwayne Johnson had enough of that, So he took a picture of him in his costume and posted it on his, 50 million,
yeah, and
Facebook page, and said, "Fire me,"
Yeah, and lately he's been heavy in the media with that, and you can kind of start seeing that type of thing come out, and people like him that stand up for the production, stand up for the people that are in the show, front, foreground, background, behind the scenes, everything else. He's what he does. It speaks volumes. He doesn't have to say a word. What he does speaks for him.
Well, he called some people out on fast, and he's pretty amazing. He will leak in his own stuff, but that he's in. But when you have that big of a him or Vin Diesel, when you have that big of a social media presence, you can kind of do what
you
want.
And I think that we kind of moved into that generation. I think we're kind of a lot of us are getting really comfortable with the spoilers, with the leaks. It kind of makes us salivate for more.
Yeah, and especially when they were wrong. I love that too. When you get these ideas about something and you're wrong. The big fan theory right now about Star Wars, 8 is that Rey's actually reincarnated Anakin, and I know I'm really geeky now, but I mean, it's probably not true at all. But I mean, it's kind of cool, and it's cool to speculate it. And,
oh yeah, I mean, you could remember right after the movie came out, all the fan theories on her, her kind of like relationship with other characters. Is she Luke's daughter? Is she Han and Leia's daughter? Where do you?
I think she's related to Palpatine somehow, because my son and I argue about this all the time. This is really geeky, but she holds her lightsaber very similar to Palpatine in Episode 3.
With no training though. Remember, she's gone through no training, so it's something that comes naturally.
So that means something that would have gotten in her, or
it's
maybe
ingrained in her DNA to do it that way. It's like being a right-handed person. Your kids tend to be a right-handed person.
Yeah.
Maybe Force ghosts have gone from, just appearing and being blue and creepy to actually, taking over people, possessing them.
Oh, so now now we're getting to the paranormal realm of Star Wars, of body possessions and exorcisms and things like that.
Force possessions.
Yeah, but hey, it's
it's plausible, man.
Hey, that would be an interesting theory, though. I mean, where would they take it? Where would they go? And I think that's I don't know what I could say. I know that a lot of people are looking forward to Rogue One. Some people are like, neither here nor there.
It'll be good.
Oh no doubt. I mean, you put Forrest Whitaker into almost anything, and he's just amazing. But just the overall.
He's a good guy. I met him on The Butler. Man, I had a decent part in The Butler, but it got. I think I'm still in the credits for that, but it got cut out. That was Lee Daniels directed The Butler, and it was supposed to be up for an Oscar and all that, and it just kind of ran out of money and steam. Still a pretty good film, though. And anyway, so I got to meet, Lawrence and just Alan Rickman and a lot of people on that. So it was that was a really good movie. So if any of your audience wants to see a historical thing, Butler's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it actually it did go up. I know that it went up for the Oscar, didn't win. But Forrest Whitaker has been amazing, a great actor.
I think I said Lawrence. I meant Forrest. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And I'm just curious.
Danny Aiello was in that as well, and he was so. That was my scene. Was and I don't know if you can even see me anymore. After he's a freedom rider. And he gets, he's the son of the butler, and he gets, beaten, and he gets taken to the phone, and he calls his mom, Oprah, and his dad, and talks to them, and tells them that as soon as he gets out of jail, he's going to do it again, and she says they're going to kill you and all that. Well, I was the guy that beat him, and the guard, and brought him to the phone, and glared at him, and taunted the other inmates, and all of that. And they brought in like 60 extras, and they built this jail set and at Second Line Studios in New Orleans, and it was they did level of detail. They put like wax makeup in my ear holes because I had earring holes back in the 80s and haven't worn an earring in forever. And so they had to. They want to make sure they cover that up because a 1960s prison guard in Mississippi wouldn't
have earrings.
That, no priors. And it's kind of the funniest things ever, man. We shot it and went through it, and then that was like the first take with rehearsal and then the first take, and then they called lunch, and so we had lunch, and when lunch was done, I got back on my mark and got ready to go, and they come up and said, no, there's been a change, and that was it, man. They just come, wasn't even like you wait and a year later and it comes out and you're not in it. I mean, and it was kind of sad, but oh well.
And let me ask you, what are you doing currently right now? I mean, what do you have in the works that you can talk about?
Well, I went back to doing a little bit of doubling. You mentioned True Detective at the beginning. I've doubled for Woody Harrelson a couple times, and definitely for the True Detectives did the driving. And let's see, I did last summer. I think I did Precious Cargo for Bruce Willis, and then I just recently did for John Malkovich, a movie called Supercon, which is got it's going to be good. Clancy Brown in it. It's look it up, Supercon.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that, John. I mean, I was looking at some of your upcoming stuff that you got going on. Like, I don't know how much of it you can talk about and what you can't, so I won't go into the names. I'll let you do it. But Supercon was one of those that I was looking at, and it looked like a pretty neat, setup. And
it was fun. I had fun working on it, and John Malkovich is an amazing actor.
Favorites.
So it was fun portraying him. And then a couple things I'm doing is they're filming TV shows for this new network, Escape.
Escape.
Yeah. I don't think it has the accent mark, but it's Escape Network. It'll probably air on the Oxygen Network, but it's its own package of shows. It's out of Los Angeles, but they film it in at least two of the shows in Louisiana.
Right.
One of them's Murderous Affairs, and another one is It Takes a Killer. And I get to, I'm not going to go too much detail, but I get to portray a sidekick to a well-known serial killer, like really well-known serial killer, one of the worst, lot worse, no offense, but than cutting a finger off, really bad guy. So his sidekick, and that's when It Takes a Killer. And then I got to play another killer on Murderous Affairs, who him and his brother end up murdering a girl because he has too many girlfriends, and they use Star Wars code that they text each other and all that, which we found out is completely copyright written in you really can't use Star Wars code. You can just say that you use Star Wars code. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. So I think that will be on the Oxygen Network probably sometime after the first of the year.
Oh, cool. Wow. That's going to be really worth looking forward. And John, let me ask you, where can we find you online? Where can our listeners basically look you up?
On the line?
On the line.
On the line. You can find me on at Facebook. Just type in John, middle initial R, and last name Mangus, Mangus, and you can keep up with me. And that's just look for the little blue tick thing or check, or whatever they call it, circle, and then you can find me on Twitter at John R. Mangus. And then I think I'm on Instagram, but I really don't know.
So we're just not going to give anybody that information because it'd be pointless.
Well,
yeah, that would be and I'm not on Snapchat.
Again, he's not a 15-year-old girl. Now, but know that all that information will be included, as always, folks, in the metadata. So if you want to look for John, you could go ahead and just click on our links and have it there. Now, John,
look at you with a big word called metadata.
Metadata.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Now, John, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the show. We really do appreciate it.
Always.
But we're going to go ahead and see you. I think you said your next con appearance is at Epicon. That is Albany, Georgia, November 5th and 6th,
There you go.
2016. So if you go to...
And we'll be there, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yes, we'll
We're
actually
looking forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah, we'll get to hang with John, and you can tell him...
What?
Hang.
Exactly.
Yeah, hang with John.
That sounds like a TGI Fridays kind of a show, hanging with Mr. John.
There you go. It'll
There you
be on
go,
Escape.
Yeah, because he's on Escape Network, yes.
And remember, that's November 5th and 6th. Come out and see us in Albany, Georgia. It's going to be a great time. And, John, anything else?
We will not be dressed as clowns and hanging out.
No. Just
nothing
Deadpool
more.
Speaks will be.
I will. That's what I normally wear anyway. That's my night clothes.
Yeah, that's what, you see what I have to deal with, John? I mean, seriously.
wow.
Yes,
It's a little creepy at times. I mean, I may have the creepy stories and the bad humor, but yeah, ooh.
I'm creepy personified.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant sight seeing Deadpool Speaks running around in a clown mask and a leotard.
Nobody needs to see that.
like Dr. Rock show.
No, not at all.
Now, John, again, thank you so much for being on. And like I said, we really appreciate everything that you did as far as for all the good people out there in Louisiana. It's a big community.
Yes.
If you want to go ahead and send John your thanks,
Yeah.
feel free to do so as well. He doesn't need it because he's just that type of guy. But
That's right.
definitely support him out there. If you see him at a con, say hello. If you're on Facebook,
Thank him for what he does.
Yeah. If you're on Facebook,
thank you.
Send him a nice message.
Send him a nice box of roses and candy. Just no pictures of his house, please. We already went through that story.
Yeah, and
There's a line to be drawn.
and if you guys watch The Butler, make sure that they write them if you don't see him in there, and tell them, hey, include that. Release the Ultimate Director's Edition.
Little trivia fact: Lee Daniels, the director of The Butler, wears pajamas all
the time. Well, I mean,
Did we lose this time?
when
Me or
you're
you or him?
No, I'm sorry. It's just AT&T or whoever, Verizon, whatever. Since the storm over here has.
Oh, yeah.
Sprint. We'll just toss everybody out there.
Yeah.
Let's not single anybody.
Boost Mobile, Cricket.
Yes,
Jitterbug.
cricket. Jitterbug. Yes.
Yeah.
Get my walker.
It's got that one button for help, baby. So,
I'm falling and I can't get up.
all right,
guys.
So
Thank you so much.
No problem. You've been hanging with me, Deadpool Speaks, Dr. Evil Beard, and the incredible John R. Mangus. I'm Deadpool Speaks.
And I'm Dr. Evilbeard.
And you've been listening to Chimichanga Talk. Remember, it's 3 times more fiber than you actually need.
Or want.
Thank you for listening this week, and remember, just like always, we will be back next week with another great guest and more adventures from the land of Chimichanga Talk. So tune in next time, same Deadpool time, same Deadpool channel.
A little piece of trivia for your listeners out there. Lee Daniels, the director of The Butler, and I think he did Precious, he wears pajamas all the time. It was like the weirdest thing. It's cool that he does that, but I'm like, who is this guy? And he's got pajamas, and you have that like little pocket in your pajamas. Not that I wear pajamas, but if I was, he had like a little handkerchief in there and stuff. It was amazing.
So he was more like Hugh Hefner style than he wears where I have the buddy flaps on mine.
No, pajamas. I'm serious.
Like Snuggie type, just like straight up pajamas, like we used to wear when we were kids. That had the little plastic things on the feet and shock people when you run across the floor.
Oh, that would be epic. No, just more like just regular pajamas. Nice pajamas you get from Macy's or something. But still,
what's
nothing
Macy's?
that you would.
This is Florida.
Yeah, they don't allow us to have Macy's anymore. We're not allowed to have nice things in Florida.
No, it's so bad that they got rid of Kmart down here.
Oh, how do you get underwear, man?
Yeah, you kind of have to hope and pray that they don't break or rip, and then you go get the duct tape when they do.
Or we just get more from
man,
eBay.
I always buy all mine from Burger King.
Delivered from China.
Would you like fries with that?
No, I buy all my underwear from Burger King.
You buy all your
the supersized value menu.
You have to ask why I buy my underwear from Burger King.
Okay. So why do you buy your underwear from Burger King?
Home of the Whopper.
Oh, damn! Now he's stealing my jokes.
Hey, there you go, man. You're terrible at setting that up. You have to ask why.
Oh, we knew that was coming. That's why we didn't ask why.
Oh, you want to do it again?
Do it just one more time.
This is why I don't do comedy.
Do it just one more time. Say, why do you buy
you said that that all you have left is they even closed your Kmart, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. They closed our Kmart's down here. We're not allowed to have nice things.
Well, like Rain Man, he got all of his underwear from Kmart. What do you do for underwear?
I kind of just, wait till they rip it and hope and pray they don't. If they don't, if they do, we put duct tape on them.
Well, I have to buy all my underwear from Burger King.
Why would you do that? Jeez. I mean, come on.
Home of the Whopper.
Oh, you're stealing my jokes now, dude. Come on. That's my job, is to be the cheesy comic relief. Your job is to be the tough, brick house of an actor you are.
Did you say tough?
You don't need my money.
Oh, this is just a train wreck.
Yes, it is. It always is, though.
The best part is I'm going to keep both of the jokes in there. People listen to it twice.
No, do the extended cut.
The director's cut.
The director's cut. Yes. To get your full Mangus on.
Yes.
Get the director's cut.
We'll release that when it comes out on DVD,
Blu-ray.
I guess. Yeah,
on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network, your station for all things geek, classic, current, and beyond. Be part of the crew at ESONetwork.com.